ang Best Public Affairs Program. And the star goes to Open for Business Net 25.
It is a signal to the world that we are open for business.
We are now open for business. This is Cesar Vallejos bringing you yet another episode to guide you in discovering your passion and growing your business as we learn from experts in the field. Sama-sama tayong matuto sa isa na namang makabuluhang usapan tungo sa pagpapangunlad ng inyong negosyo. Ang Open for Business ay mapapanood nyo rin sa Facebook, YouTube. Siguraduhin na rin mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media page at Net25TV. Ating alamin, suriin mula sa mga negosyante, thought leaders at mga personalidad sa iba't ibang larangan ang mga strategies, trends at mahalagang karanasan nila sa pagninegosyo dahil tayo ay open for business. When we order from online sellers, we just expect to receive our goods in the shortest time possible. However, for those with a business mindset, they are keen to know what's the story behind the delivery of goods and if there are any opportunities to invest. That's exactly what we're in for this episode, knowing the ins and outs of a logistics or courier express service, including the franchise model of this business. We'll find out more insights from BEXCS Logistics Solutions, Inc.'s President, Marjorey Rubio.
Yun o! Bato! Wow! Tama na, may nanalo na. Uwi na. Cajun Seafood!
With the exponential growth in e-commerce in the past 2 years of the pandemic, delivery services also enjoyed robust activity and demand. We are fortunate to have with us today someone who used to be an online seller herself and transitioned to becoming a business owner of a logistics company. What a great story of grabbing an opportunity and making that enterprise grow. Such an inspiration. Here to tell us more about the amazing story of BEXCS Logistics Solutions is its president and founder, Miss Marjorey Rubio. Welcome to Open for Business.
Thank you, Sir Cesar, for having me here in your show.
Before I ask you some of the questions, gusto ko lang balikan yung usapan natin off-cam. Akala ng lahat talagang ang logistics industry sa Philippines, these are really, the key players are controlled by Filipinos. But as a market analyst, what was your observation on this? Are we, of course, we have the major brands in the logistics market. What's the background behind this where no Filipino or magkakaroon pa lang tayo ng
Yes.
Pilipino na talagang mangunguna sa larangang ito?
Based on my observation in the last 4 years, I believe that at first, no, nung wala pong pandemic, it was highly fragmented. Talagang, of course, logistics has been there and basically backing up all the industries. But after pandemic, I believe that also foreign players saw Philippines as a growing market. So in a span of 2 to 3 years, they were able to grow several brands here. And right now, no, saturated yung market natin with foreign players. I would say top 2 would be from other countries and not here in the Philippines.
What's the reason behind it? Are there maybe bigger investments coming from them? Are there other? Is it a consortium or a collaboration of foreign companies? That's why they are dominating that.
Well, to start off, Philippines is very, our country or the Filipinos are adaptable to technology. So nung pumasok po yung malalaking brands, the big e-commerce platforms, I would say, no, these were also the reasons why foreign players had seen the opportunity. So they banked as well of Filipinos patronizing these large e-commerce platforms. So sa ngayon po, yan ang nakikita ko na majority why a lot of the foreign players are looking into that because they see that the market share already belongs to these huge e-commerce platforms which are also foreign companies.
I see. But to give us a background, Ms. Marjorie, of the market, talking about market share, how big ba is the Philippine market?
Globally, we're looking at 2.1 billion US dollars, no? But I would say at least Philippines at about less than $1 million US dollars or more, possibly because this is just based on the last 3 years. Pero for sure, when I last looked into the market, and this was in 2019, prior to pandemic, the data that we have been gathering, which is supposed to be for 2025, was fast-forwarded to 2020. Parang yung dapat na growth po natin in 2025, ngayon na siya nangyayari in the last 2 years. So just imagine that kind of exponential growth in the country.
Yes, speaking of that exponential growth, this leads me to my next question. You were at the cusp of great opportunity during the pandemic when people were restricted from moving and relied heavily on deliveries. While you saw great opportunity, were you not wary of the immense work, behind a logistics business?
Well, yes, I was very aware of what we're going into. Actually, I've been mentioning this before in my some of my interviews in the past. The only reason why we came to a point that we decided to move forward and do the business for logistics, I think it came from a drive ng isang ina, no? I am very transparent. The reason why we opened our business at first was because I have a kid with special needs. And at that time, I was very happy being a market analyst, a market researcher. I've done so many businesses offshore, and I think it was fulfilling naman in our end. But the reason why we also banked into the Philippines as a growing market, because in 2019, we saw that there are some cities, outskirts, no, hindi na nakikater talaga ng logistics. And so when I did our feasibility study, nakita namin na this is a huge market na wala pa rin talagang nagdo-dominate. So yes, the city, of course, the serviceable areas, as what we would say, no? Yan, nakikater na talaga. And most of it are pare-parehas. So meaning, one player is the same as with the other with serviceable areas. And there's a reason behind that. But when I looked into the competition, there are different levels of the competition. But again, banking on the strength of the data that I have, I think that was the, that was the convincing point for me. Whether we have limited resources or even none, I think we can pivot the company into a bigger one if we are able to utilize what we have in terms of data.
Speaking of data, you mentioned that you're able to identify areas that are not serviced yet.
Yes.
Where are those areas?
So to date, we have more than 43,000 barangays existing in our archipelago, and all of the players, that's a valid data. All of the players have been catering only 23,000 barangays. So what about the
More
rest of it?
than half.
Yeah, it's more than half. So the rest of the half that I'm saying, those are provinces, of course, municipalities, which are really unserved. So these are the areas of opportunities that we saw. And the reason why there's no one who's able to cater that is because of proximity. That's why BEXCS is very much dedicated to put activities in those areas para ma-serve namin siya. Kasi no one would put up a branch or let's say a logistics hub without an activity. There's no revenue stream for that. So what we did is now we're doing programs. We're having different activities that we can offer to the community so that when we serve them, they will be serviceable.
What would the activities be? Kasi alam naman natin na sa pagpapadala, di ba?
Yes,
Normally, it's the movement of goods
Yes.
or remittances from
Yes.
relatives.
Yes, correct.
What are the basic needs or the basic activities where logistics in these underserved or unserved
Yeah.
areas must be looked into?
So the functions that we see po, no, and you're right, Sir Cesar, these are the areas that doesn't have activity. So when we say activity, for example, when you go to Anda, Pangasinan, it's quite far, like 3 hours to 4 hours drive from the main town. And if you look into them, they have this certain population, pero there's no e-commerce activity. So what I'm trying to emphasize is the e-commerce activity, meaning having the people trained or introducing them on how to do e-commerce. So that's what we're doing right now. We are also venturing into training people, training the communities on how to make it happen. Kasi there are a lot of goods, no, na manufactured. I would say I've seen some from Nueva Vizcaya, Baguio. So, ang dami nating pwedeng ilabas, no, i-export. And even sold it nationwide, pero hindi siya lumalabas. Why? Because no one is able to cater them, no one is able to teach them, train them. So this has been some of the programs that not only the government, even the private sectors has been trying to do. But the disconnect comes from how do we send it out? How do we package it? How do we make it happen? Because it's a huge market. There's so much distance, no, from one hub to the other. So how do you map it out talaga? So that's where we come in.
Wow, interesting. Speaking of e-commerce, the key driver
Yes.
of it was the pandemic then, di ba?
Right, exactly.
So a lot of people were in their homes. The question there, Miss Marjorie, is that are those provinces or barangays ready in terms of infrastructure also? Or, of course, before you train them, there has to be good telco, good
Yes,
internet
yes,
facility, o mga ganyan, di ba? Like say, communication, key communication infrastructure, Cignal and all.
Yes.
What are you doing to ensure that, there should be also linkage between the private and government sector?
So right now we are tied up with one of the major players for telco, and we believe, no, that we have provided them with our map, a roadmap for the infrastructures. So meaning to say the branches or the hubs that we are going to establish around those vicinities will have the support as well of the telco and internet services. Because you're right po, no, Sir Cesar, this is one of the problems arising na whether you have a good infrastructure, you have all these e-commerce suppliers and all, it will not happen if there's no connectivity. So I've seen so many developments right now for smart cities, and one of which is having us to provide ahead of time for this telco company to map out all the branches that we're gonna open up. I think that's one of the advantages that we have. Kasi we've studied all the key areas where the strategic areas kung saan namin ilalagay yung mga hub namin and the branches. So, before pa sila tumayo, our partner already assured us that there will be connection prior to it. They will be serving those communities para pagdating ng mga branches namin along with the e-commerce industry that we're gonna bring them, meron na silang connectivity.
Nice to hear. Now, there's a lot of logistics companies operating in the Philippines, and you went on to compete with them. In fact, given the size of BEXCS now, it seems that you have scaled yourself up to compete not just with the third-party logistics, but all the way to the top of the chain. For the MSMEs watching now, how did you do that?
I think one of the strategic ways that I've done, no, if I may share this, when we started po, para sa lahat po ng ating mga viewers, when we started in a very small apartment. Sa aming bahay lang talaga. And for us, as parents, no, I think everyone would understand kahit ano gagawin mo para sa anak mo. So, we started it in a small, it's not even an office, it's an apartment where we started. Nakita namin that, number one, if you know your market very well, that's the key to that. Before you go into anything, investments, business, I think you should be able to figure out what's going to happen in the next 5 years. And I've said it to a lot of my talks before with MSMEs. I share to them, when you do business, whether it's a pajama business or you're just selling fish crackers, dapat yung mindset mo, you should be able to plan out in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's the first thing that we did. We planned out for the next 5 years. So whatever that is happening right now, it has been on the plan already. Para lalakaran mo na lang as time goes by. So whenever there's struggle, there's challenges, what you do is you set and then you aim again. So that's one. And then number two would be, of course, perseverance. Because in this game, no, for us to be able to compete with the other players with limited resources. I just wanted to share this. Hindi po kami nagtanggap ng investors. Actually, it was bootstrapped in the last 4 years. Why? Because we wanted to prove to everyone na kaya siya. Kasi pag walang naging proof of concept to MSMEs, hindi sila maniniwala. Kasi they will always say, ay hindi, may investor ka. Philippines is a hot item for venture capitalists, and we've been offered so many times to do it. A lot of people would invest on concepts, you know, that you have a great concept, but you will have to consider that because you need to persevere. You have to make sure that as you grow, you also have to make sure that yung vision mo aligned with what you're doing. And then I think the third one that we did, no, was collaborate. There are a lot of people like me, no, like you, who would be very much willing to help. So there's a study po, no, that I think the best way to bring back the balance into our supply chain is by having the bigger players, the bigger companies to help the smaller ones. Because and I will say this, collaboration is always better than competition. So collaboration right now is one of the key things why we're able to compete with the others.
Miss Marjorey Rubio is sharing a lot of new insights tonight. One of that which struck me is that there are investors or venture capitalists who came to you.
Yes.
There were investors who approached you, but you said no because you wanted to prove that as a Filipino entrepreneur, you can do it on your own. So what was that deciding factor why you stood ground to ensure that, oh no, this should be all Filipino?
It's a tough question to answer, no? We've been offered by a lot of foreign companies before, like even buyout total buyout. We wanted to stood up first, number one, because we wanted to be a testimony for the micro entrepreneurs. Na I was once a seller of butcheron in a call center. I was once a seller of fish crackers. I used to do that in front of my company. And I also do live selling. I did live selling. I was also a rider myself. I've been to that ground, no, the groundwork. So, sabi ko kasi, sabi po namin ng husband ko, if walang magpapatotoo niyan, na kaya siyang gawin, through of course, data, faith, and perseverance, walang maniniwala. And they will not do it. Because the mindset of entrepreneurs right now, I need to have an investor to make this happen. But in reality, you just need partners and you need to believe in the vision that you have. So one thing that I grabbed really the hardest was the vision. Sabi ko po sa mga tao namin, I can easily sell the company if I want to. Everyone who knows me, I can do that. But hindi ko po ginawa. Why? Because of the vision. It was so clear. I wanted to pull up this movement for all Filipinos to see na kaya naman po natin. That there is someone willing to do it. Then we can collaborate all together to work on this mission and vision that we're seeing. Kasi once you sell your vision, it's no longer yours. You cannot sell a vision. You cannot sell that. So, for me, the qualifications for the investors who would like to join with us, first, it's not all about business. It's not all about revenue generation. Because if you do good business, if you really know your heart and you really believe in what you do, I think God will be very faithful to provide you all the provision that you need. But you have to, you have to be loyal to the vision that was given to you.
And what is your vision and how are you going there now? Where are you in the vision?
So our vision is to bridge all industry gaps so that Philippines will be one of the world's best and biggest platforms in terms of logistics and e-commerce. So that is our vision. And right now, I would say we're halfway through. We have been getting traction in OFW communities, yung ating pong mga kababayan, whom we also dedicate this campaign, this project. I always say this, it's not a business. BEXCS is not just a business for me. Because I can sell it anytime. If it was a business, I can sell it anytime to investors. Kung pera-pera lang yan. But I had to go through a lot of struggles, a lot of pain points. We had to go through a lot, no? Talagang, and I would know, I would know na yung mga nanonood pa na MSMEs, yung sinasabi nila na blood and tears, totoo yun. Because we've been through that. And we're halfway through because we're getting traction across the globe. We have more than, well, I would say 30% of our applications are from our kababayans outside the country. And that's why we're ramping up fast. So hindi kami nagmamadali. It's just that it's already, I think it's about time for us Filipinos to go in, to go in this project, this movement, because there's so much more to competition. Marami pa po tayong hindi na-address sa ating bansa, especially in terms of the socio-economic and yung ating kalagayan in terms of our performance index in logistics. So I think these are some of the things that we have to go through at makita, lalo na po yung ating lumalaking market for MSMEs.
Wow, those are very, very interesting data. But let's go back to this one. There's an estimated 1 billion e-commerce industry, and that's in dollars. And by association, we can say that the logistics sector is one of that benefits from this chunk given the relationship. On the logistics business alone, BEXCS is definitely getting a piece of that pie. So you mentioned already the inspiration and your adherence to that vision of the company. But here is a business model, franchising.
Yes.
So which is something very exciting because it makes it easy for OFWs and a lot of people to go into that business model because, once they have all the requirements, all they have to do is follow that business model. So can you describe this franchise business and this strategy to increase revenue stream?
Yes. So we also saw the potential of franchising because we understand po that there are a lot of us no having disposable income, or I would say yung mga pa-retire na. We have of course the OFW community who's very interested in having their hardships na may pupuntahan. You know, I've been an OFW myself.
Really? From what country?
China.
Oh, okay.
I used to teach children, small kids, for English. So I also know how it feels to be an OFW. So,
For how long?
2 years.
Okay. Oh,
2
that was
years.
long na rin.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just 20 at that
Oh,
time.
really?
Yes, it was
Really?
very hard. Kasi I had to stood up for my family when my dad left us. So I had to make all of this to happen. Kaya I really feel and have the heart for the OFW community. So franchising, because marami pong magagaling in the business. But I would also like to give opportunity naman. Paano naman yung, hindi naman sila, let's say they're not well-versed in business. And logistics is a tough business. It's a complex business. It's, well, I would use the word toxic. It's a toxic business because the demand is always there. You have customers lined up asking you where their parcel
Tsaka
is.
demanding din ang,
Yes,
ang Pinoy.
the market is very
diba?
demanding. Plus, you have all this competition going on. So, and you have to also, you need a lot of advancement in technology to cater everyone. So, when we say franchising, we want to expand our venture by giving opportunities to people who'd like to have their money or to have their investment grow with us, but at the same time, we also help them manage it. Kasi one of the opportunities that we see is that, paano kung, Miss Marge, meron naman ako talagang kakayahan na magbigay ng kapital, pero wala akong oras. Because this is not my turf. I'm more into food. And you cannot just switch your core competency into something na hindi naman talaga sa'yo. So what we do with our franchise line, we give opportunities. People can invest in our franchising line. They can be part of this legacy, but we also help them manage it. And that lessens their risk for, the loss of investment. Kasi there's no business without risk. Every business has a risk, but you can always do risk management. And I think if we manage it for them in the next 2 years, then, they can be assured na talagang matututukan at lalaki yung negosyo nila.
Which is my follow-up question, Miss Marjorie. Kasi, halimbawa, I am an OFW, meron akong pera, pero naririnig ko rin sa Open for Business na dapat ang passion mo. Kung ano yung passion mo, sinabi mo yung food.
Yes.
O kaya parang last week, pagpapaganda or
Yes,
sa
yes.
ibang weeks.
Yes.
So, yun ang passion mo. Pero, hindi mo alam yung klaseng business na yon. So why would, like say for example, OFWs or anyone, any Filipino who has that capital to choose logistics over their passion for other things, why would they invest in this logistics franchise model?
Logistics is the driver of all industries.
Yan.
So whether you are, that's the answer to it. So I'll give you one example. I spoke to one of our aspiring OFW franchisee from Switzerland. So she has a community of Filipinos, and with her, and the group, their passion is to sell Filipino items. So they saw the opportunity na napakadaming Filipino in Switzerland, but they don't have a way to export. They don't have a way. Talagang ano. So sabi niya when she was talking to me, paano yun, I don't have anything about logistics. But that's okay. Because your passion is to sell goods. And you stay with it. But you have your own logistics company already to make it happen. Let's say you're franchising a product. So ano pa rin naman yung kailangan mo? You still need logistics to distribute your supplies. Even if it's a medical device that you are open to, your skincare. In fact, right now po, we have scholars training under us. So we have been training moms. We've selected, we are doing case studies right now. Mommies na single parents We also have mothers with special needs na may anak sila with special needs, and we also have moms na they have been selling in online and they really have a good eye and concept in the business. So we have mothers like this, and we're now formulating brands for them so that they can sell it, and then they have the logistics already in their hands. So we have started doing our vision, and it's so promising to see that, you know, these mothers are given now a chance to sustain. They no longer need to beg. Sometimes kasi yun po yung naging karanasan ko rin. I had experiences like that, and I think having a logistics as your franchise or as your investment would be sustainable, and it will complement any business that you operate.
Sabi mo nga, lahat ng industries dadaan sa inyo.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, moving on, from this background research, BEXCS is not just an end-to-end provider, but also a customized logistics provider. How do you do that? And is customization one of the gaps that the big players also failed to address?
Yes, that's absolutely true. The reason why we are able to come up with customization with tailor-fit logistics is because we saw that there are a lot of industries na hindi na po makater. Right now, the players that we see in the market, you know, the players that our crowd usually recognizes are only able to cater mails and parcels. But what about the cargo? What about the international shipping? So these are some of the services that we'll be able to address. Kasi when we did a lot of pickups for different clients, lalo na po ito nga ating growing market for MSME, sometimes they would have to call 4 different players, 4 different couriers. Isa para sa international, isa para sa express delivery, isa para sa nationwide. And it always gives them a headache to track all at the same time. So, having said that, we also saw the opportunity of customizing. That's why we call our company Logistics Solutions. Minsan po kasi ang naiisip lang ng tao, ay pare-pareho lang yan. But in our case, we're different because we customize the logistics for them. So even on a certain level, like for example, we want to, before po we were able to cater incubators, even caskets. So
Wow.
that's how diverse we are. We even had express deliveries of chickens, anything under the sun. We have tried doing so just for us to see how the market will flourish if there's this type of logistics company that will serve them and would have the expertise. Kasi the challenge right now, as an emerging market or an online seller, sometimes you tend to go out of your core business, which is selling. Your core is to sell. Your core is to identify what are the best trends right now para yung revenue mo would be higher. Your goal as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, is to plan out your next 5 years. Pero ano pong nangyayari ngayon? You're there, you're doing the invoice, you're doing the packaging, ikaw na one-man show ka, collection.
May driver ka pa.
Yes, exactly. And you're the one who go to the supplier and deliver it. So, yes, tama po. So
Excel mo pa.
It's a one-man show. And that's why we are here, because we want to show you that leave it all to us. We're gonna do it for you. We're gonna support you grow, because as our tagline says, your business is our business. When you grow, we get shipments. It's a win-win situation.
Are you saying, Marjorey, na parang you are like a one-stop shop? So, do not think of it as, okay, here's your international,
Yes.
here's your local. Hindi na. So, once they deal with you,
Yes.
you can service
Yes, we
all their needs.
We design their logistics. You want, so you have clients. We even give free consultation. That's why we want them to take advantage of that. Na, why would you have these issues of not being able to manage your assets? Kasi sometimes you capitalize on stuff that you don't need to capitalize on. There are people, sige maging fulfillment center na ako, pero maliit lang na player to. When you do a fulfillment center, you need a lot of capital for that. Why would you even go to that? Because your mindset is, wala naman kasi makapag-cater nito sa akin. But in reality, you stick with your core competency. You're good at sales, then you're good at sales. You manufacture, then you manufacture. And then leave the core for the logistics to us or to someone who will be able to help you in this.
Wow, well said. Ngayon, napag-uusapan natin kanina off-cam. There are pricing strategies of competitor na something that's very disruptive that may or are killing some of the local businesses. Paano ka magko-compete doon? And knowing you now that you have the next 5 years planned, how would you be able to see if there is any systemic or consumer behavioral change or industry disruptions?
We are going heavy on data. So we have been studying the market through deep dive research. We also understand that technology will play an important role in scaling out our vision as well. So number one, we'd like to show everyone that we don't need to compete with each other, especially for the local players like me. We are very open for partnership. That's why we have this we have this design right now that we're which is in the pipeline. So I think in order for the balance to get back on track, kasi there's no balance right now. When I say there's no balance, consumers, buyers are dictating the pricing. So for example, I'm an online seller. I'd like to sell my brand. I invested on my brand. I have the concept. Ginawa ko lahat para gumanda yung brand ko. And then, my customer is gonna say, no, I'm not gonna buy from you. Why? Because your shipping fee is too high. See? The control of the market is with the buyers. So even if I have a very good brand, but because the shipping fee doesn't fit their budget, what happens? They have to switch to another player. And I don't think that's helping out because the seller gets frustrated. At the end of the day, they would just end up, okay, let's not do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore because I cannot risk my products without, you know, having this quality of service. So I think the best way to bring back the balance, number one, is to understand what are really the cost recurring for the players like us, for the logistics players, no? Number one. And then second, bring back quality and excellent service. So I believe, and we're not saying that we are the best, but the progress is there. We're already doing our best to formulate, to put in the pipeline, how can we get the shorter delivery time. As a matter of fact, it's already in the pipeline that we will be the first to do the nationwide shipping delivery same day.
Are you seeing those changes happening? Like, for example, we've seen in social media a lot of photos about perception and reality. As you mentioned it, these are quality service. That's a way for you to elevate it. Ang bagsak nun sa logistics pa rin, di ba? That's, although that is from the producer of the product. But somehow, di ba, once you deliver it, you're already part of the system. And a certain you know, part of the blame will be also pointed to you. What's your take on that?
That is actually true. There's a lot of things happening very fast now in the logistics business. And you're right, as soon as we get the parcel, sometimes even if hindi naman talaga kami yung who's to blame because dumaan lang sa amin talaga yung package. But that's the reason why we prefer, we prefer to partner with local e-commerce players. Because this is my take, no? I would want to see the brands with quality to be delivered by BEXCS. And e-commerce platforms are one of the key players right now. If you partner with an e-commerce platform, of course, there's a tendency that you get a market share. Right now, we are partnering with a Filipino e-commerce platform. It's called EasySell PH. So we support them because we know that they have this vision na, of course, as much as we can, we must have quality items to sell online. And that gives protection to our consumers. Ganon kami, hanggang doon po nakikialam kami.
As a logistics provider, you can also see the trend in what business is flourishing in the market right now. What is the strongest product type that has been moving of late? As a market analyst yourself, what drives the popularity of these products? Ang ibang narinig ko dyan, yung mga pampaputi.
Tama po kayo. That's the answer. That's the answer. Well, we have skincare, of course. It's one of the best. If some of us are watching wants to know, we have skincare. We also have anything related to health and beauty, especially the supplements. Yan pa rin po yung magtatap sa trends. Yes. And we also have this for electronics naman. We have tech accessories. For mobile phones, anything that you can have to accessorize your phone, chargers and all, those would be the top talaga. In the next, that's gonna run in the next 3 to 5 years.
May warehousing din kayo?
Yes, we have warehousing. We offer warehousing because we saw the opportunity that pag isang seller kasi lumaki siya bigla, problemahin na niya kung saan niya ilalagay yung mga ano. So we supported that too.
Okay. About expansion plans, you have quite recently launched in Cebu and are planning to set your footprints wider and farther in both the Visayas and Mindanao regions. How many branches are you expecting to open in 2023?
Non-negotiable, we'll have to open 278 branches in the entire country.
I like that the CEO, non-negotiable. I'd like to open 278. 278.
Yes.
Why? Is that number something that will meet your business targets?
Yes, it's the map that we have planned out for this year because those will be the key branches to serve our nationwide delivery. And that will also support our incoming branches outside the country.
As we're wrapping up now, since you're also a trainer, kindly share your tips for the MSMEs who are watching you right now and how they may be able to create a sustainable and scalable business like BEXCS.
I'd like to share po, no, you need to be open. When you say open, you have to be open for knowledge. You cannot always say, I know everything. Kasi ako, up to this point, I'm a CEO, but I'm very much open to adding more to my learning. And then number 2, I believe you really need to stand up your ground. You have to be firm and you have to do what is right. Not just do what you want to do, but you have to consider everyone in your business. And growing businesses right now are those with purpose. If your business at this moment, you have to evaluate if it doesn't serve any purpose, you might have to reevaluate it and look back again. Because for us, no, for me, businesses with purpose, ito yung talagang magkakaroon ka ng drive because you'll need that drive to stay on the game. Most of the players right now, they only last up unto 3 to 4 years and then di na nakakatawid dun sa pagiging established na business. Why? They get burned out. So the 5th one, of course, would be faith. There's no business without having faith, of course, number 1 in God and the community and yourself. You need to have faith in yourself as well. Kasi pag ikaw mismo hindi ka sold out sa business mo, then there's no point of doing the business.
Wow, this is a perfect interview. But before we wrap up, I noticed, Miss Marjorie, that you are a strong-willed and truly a strong woman. But what is your soft spot? I know that you mentioned earlier you also begged as a mother. You had to put it up. You worked hard and you have also a child that has special needs. What is that soft heart that you have?
Actually, for me, as a mom, and this goes for every interview that I have done in the last couple of years, mahirap maging mahirap. Mahirap na nagmamakaawa ka for help. At yun yung ayaw ko pong maranasan ng ibang magulang na katulad ko. Because I've seen and I've experienced not eating in a day. And I know how it feels if I'm given one shot in life.
no matter what it takes, I will make sure it will happen. And so I'm doing it right now.
Wow, that was a great way to end this conversation. And thank you so much, Miss Marjorey Rubio. And we apologize for making you cry. Thank you so much, Miss Marjorey. Open for business. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Hi mga ka-superfans, ito po si Bonbon Custodio mula po sa inyong Davao Occidental Tigers. Manatili po kayong nakatutok dito lang sa Pilipinas Super League. Ito ang liga ko.
For business news, U.S. economy shows signs of improvement. It may be that the U.S. will possibly glide through the year without recession as economic improvements are beginning to show. Moody's Analytics, as quoted in a report, observed that inflation is moderating, making it less likely for the Federal Reserve to hike interest rates. The firm's chief economist, Mark Zandi, was quoted saying that easing of inflation will significantly raise the odds of the U.S. economy going through without a recession in 2023. Positive signs include a reported decline in consumer price index 6 months in a row through December. eSIM market seemed to increase to $16.3 billion by 2027. Globally, the global eSIM or the embedded SIMs market is seen to expand from $4.7 billion in 2023 to $16.3 billion by 2027. According to a new Juniper research study, currently India and China account for a total of 25% of global smartphones using eSIMs. The study further said that the total number of smartphones using eSIM connectivity will increase to 3.5 billion by 2027 from a mere 986 million in 2023. eSIMs are embedded within devices, enabling gadgets and sensors to seamlessly switch between network operator profiles. And the Philippines is looking to Belgium for digital cooperation. The Department of Information and Communications Technology is looking to explore digital cooperation with Belgium in the areas of cybersecurity, digital ID, and satellites. The ICT Undersecretary for Public Affairs and Foreign Relations, Ana Mayu Lamentillo, said the department wants to improve the public's access to and the government's delivery of public services through digitalization and strengthening measures against cyber threats. Lamentillo further added that the Philippines would like to learn from digitally advanced nations in building and improving infrastructure. Isang malakasang pagpapasinayam mula sa ating network at Net25 Stars ang natunghayan dito sa Let's Net Together sa Baguio. Nakausap din natin ang ilang piling taga-suporta na nagpapakilala ng kanilang mga natatanging negosyo sa publiko. Let's get to know them here.
Actually, it's our 40th year, bali this year. And then we have a huge network po of existing franchisees na talagang tiwala sa brand namin. And dito po sa North Luzon, most especially dito po sa Baguio, we are also looking for mga bagong pong mga franchisees who wants to have their own business. We have different franchise packages. Meron po kaming as low as 100,000 pesos, wherein ito po yung tinatawag naming business trial package. Within 6 months, pwede nyo po munang i-test market yung pong inyo pong site. And then po, after po nun, tsaka po tayo mag-upgrade to a regular franchise. We are very honored and proud po to be a part of this event. And I just hope na if ever you will be interested in having your own Mr. Donut outlet, you can email us at fms@mrdonut.ph. And you can also visit our one of our stores dito po sa Baguio, which is located in the Lower General Luna here po sa Baguio.
We are so very blessed and grateful na kasama kami at naimbitahan kami ng DET 25. So para po ma-introduce namin ang Diana Stalder products here in North, especially sa Baguio na to. So super grateful kami, sir. Perfect po itong event na to. So we are offering po a reseller package for our Diana Stalder products. For only 3,000 worth of net products, meron na silang mauumpisahan na Diana Stalder products, more on skincare products, mga acne products po. Bali po kasi ito, we are offering this one para kahit wala po kayong physical store, at least they can start with their online business po. They can put ads in mga Facebook or any Shopee or Lazada, any digital platforms. They can start their small businesses on their own home. They can be their own boss on their own home, di ba po? Sobrang comfortable siya, sobrang free to all na pwede mag-start kahit in 3,000 pesos po. So perfect business po siya. Lalo na sa mga nag-work from home, na gusto na may mga side hustle po.
Star-studded tayo ngayon, kaya we are very grateful. Masaya kami and excited for this event. Actually, this is the new next page sa fire extinguisher. The new generation, we are using nanotechnology. At alam natin, ang Baguio isa po sa mga maliit ang stats pagdating sa tulong. So, ang Rhinomax ay tumutulong lalo pang mabawasan po yung insidenteng yan. Kaya siguro walang marireport. Kasi mag-umpisa pa lang ang sunog, napapatay na kagad na hindi na kailangan dumating sa puntong tumawag ng bumbero. Yan po ang vision ng Rhinomax. You can find us, of course, at facebook.com/WSC Group. And there you can watch our demonstration, presentation, and also yung iba pang mga fire safety tips. Tulad ng sinabi natin, isang maliit na Rhinomax na 500 ml is equivalent to 3 10-pounds fire extinguisher. And of course, we are looking for distributors sa mga cities, sa provinces, and also regional na po tayo. Inulit ko po, Rhinomax, stronger than fire.
There is already the influx of tourists coming in, and we also feel that the economy is moving forward. Although the latest data, we have a very high inflation rate recently. But do you think that the Philippine economy and Baguio or tourism will somehow contribute, to that progress? What do you think are the challenges that should be addressed by the government and by the private sectors?
Pwede natin sabihin na dapat lahat tayo tulong-tulong, no? It would be good if we stop criticizing each other and criticizing all the programs of the government because we don't really understand the total program. As executives, alam naman natin, magkakaibang style natin. Your strategy will always be different with my strategy.
Yes.
As to the economy of the country, definitely moving forward tayo. I am very optimistic. Our group discusses almost every meeting on how the progress of the country is going. Sure, inflation is everywhere. Hindi
global
global to hindi.
Yes.
So hindi dapat tayo mabahala, okay? We should not worry so much about the inflation because inflation means people have money and are willing to spend. That's the thing with inflation. Iba ng recession, iba ng depression, no? Sa inflation, iikot at iikot ang pera. This is not the time to skimp. This is a time wherein, after a crisis, just like what Baguio went through in 1990 after the earthquake,
Yes.
our advice to the city was spend. Not time to save. This is the time to spend. We have to circulate our money so that everybody will benefit from it.
We always live by the tagline, Lemonade Hotel, your gracious host in Baguio City. So by the time you step in the hotel, you can really feel the warmth, the love, and very passionate employees that we have there. Pre-pandemic, I think it surpassed already. So in 2020 and 2021, sobra yung parang excitement of all tourists to really come up here. Well, Baguio is known to be a destination city, and it's not surprising naman na parang lahat yata na-excite to really stay. So parang
Tsaka
at that time,
pinakamalapit ang Baguio.
yeah, very convenient to travel from Manila or anywhere in Luzon. Well, COVID is still there, but we have to live with it. The recovery processes and system right now, I think everybody will be able to get through with this one. Definitely, I have friends working at Net25, at Tony Pet, and Love has a new program there, Love in Every Tongue, something like that. So I think they're the bridge for me to be able to work with Net25, and I can see that the program is getting there. So I wish Net25 and all its program good luck and really more power.
Wow, thank you. That's a very good ending. Open for business. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Mga ka-PSL, ako di ay sigap dagangon ng Davao Occidental Tigers. Para sa mainit na aksyon, sa hardcourt, tutok lang sa Pilipinas Super League. Ito ang liga ko.
Let's get together, sa Net25.
Word of the week is scalability. It refers to the ability of an organization or a system, such as a computer network, to perform well under an increased or expanding workload. A system that scales well will be able to maintain or increase its level of performance even as it is tested by larger and larger operational demands. As an entrepreneur, knowing about your market plays a big role in your success. Fielding yourself against the giants in the industry is going to be a walk in the park if you back yourself with data and knowledge. While you're drawing up the possibilities of your business, remember to stay focused on what your strengths are and use that to compete and find your space. Just like the inspiring story of BEXCS, the company studied the gaps and their competitors and went straight to fill them in. In the process, it became a necessary complement to other businesses. While the company is relatively new, it managed to scale itself up because of their mindset. For BEXCS and Marjorey, no is not a rejection, but a way to see new opportunity. And with that, our quote of the week is, "The secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new." Thank you, Ms. Marjorey Rubio, at maraming salamat sa isang oras na pagsama sa amin upang tunghayan ng isang makabuluhang usapan ukol sa negosyo dito lang sa Open for Business. Hanggang sa susunod na linggo, samahan nyo kaming muli dito sa Open for Business. Catch us too on Facebook, YouTube. Like and subscribe on our social media page at Net25 TV. We will bring you more insights from industry experts, thought leaders, CEOs, and featured SMEs. Together, let us help encourage business development in the Philippines, sharpen your business acumen, feel the pulse, and set the trend for as long as you are informed and open for business. Ito po, si Cesar Vallejos. Marami pong salamat. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Marjorie.